Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. Sir, thanks for joining us. So you posted yesterday on social media that you're fully confident Jordan is the right person for the job. There are those moderate Republicans, though. You have to wonder how they're going to vote. Do you think Jordan gets across the finish line?
I do. Conference, again, was very emotional last night. You could almost watch people kind of going through their own therapeutic kind of thought process as they have been kind of whiplash back and forth between what happened, 14 days ago. But I did feel kind of a consensus building. The room was not full. There were a lot of members that were not in D.C. last night. That might have been on purpose. I'm not sure. But I feel like Jim's the guy. I've been with him since the whole thing with McCarthy. Because he kind of cuts across the spectrum of this conference. He can bring people together. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't people in conference that had tough questions last night. They did. But, Jim is he's a tough guy, and he has a plan to get us through, which seems almost ridiculous, but to get us through until the end of the year, which is about all the bigger bite you can take from the apple right now, right? I mean, we're just trying to kind of put this together to appease some of the members that are still focused on spending. Yet we have those on appropriations. We have members that certainly, I think, are worried about what this could do to defense as we talk about reductions in spending. So it's an odd mix of items that are brought to the mic when we're in conference, but I do feel confident that when we start voting at noon, there's a lot of people that are going to understand. I'll say one other thing. I think the script flipped on us this weekend. If you were back in the district as I was, there's a lot of people that are just saying, please get your act together, that the Republican conference looks foolish.
Congressman, I know you know this, but Congress has got a 19% approval rating, which is the lowest it's been since the 1930s. That's just totally pathetic. Now, we'll see how it plays out today at noon, but your colleague, Steve Womack, says that Republicans are going to have to get support from Democrats in order to get Jim Jordan across the finish line. Take a listen.
And with what's going on in Israel, I think we're getting closer and closer to that point. But if it becomes apparent that nobody, and I've said this publicly, nobody in America can get 217 right now out of the Republican conference. If that becomes apparent to everybody, then at some point in time, we're going to have to work across the aisle, try to figure out what it's going to take for us to be able to get a speaker elected and then get the ball rolling in Congress once again.
Congressman, there are a lot of Democrats serving in districts that Donald Trump won in 2020 and certainly in 2016. When does that process begin, the process of working across the aisle to try and get a Republican the gavel?
No, it's a non-starter, and Steve Womack knows that. Patrick McHenry has addressed it directly. Rumors of trying to build some coalition government. That's not how this republic works. That is not something that any of us would ever tolerate.
Well, no, you understand what I'm saying. I'm asking, why not work with Democrats to get Jim Jordan the gavel? Not get Hakeem Jeffries the gavel and have a coalition government, but why not try and work those relationships with Democrats serving in red districts, the more moderate, middle-of-the-road Democrats, not members of the squad?
Well, you'd have to cut a deal with Hakeem Jeffries, and that's just not something that this conference is willing to do. And I think if we did do it, we'd lose certainly our supporters moving into the next election cycle. So,
well, maybe, but desperation's a stinky cologne, and this thing's gone on 14 days. If you don't have a speaker by the end of the week, I'm telling you, you're going to go back to Wisconsin, and you're going to hear a whole lot more about what's going on in Washington. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I fully understand that. That's why I think when we get in there at noon today, you may see a similar kind of scenario play out, just as we saw with Kevin McCarthy. I hope it doesn't go to 15 votes, but I also think Jim's a lot closer than what some people imagine at this point. So I'm hopeful that that first vote gives us an idea of who's there and who isn't, and that Jim can work with those individuals to get there very quickly.
All right, Congressman, we'll all be watching, and we'll be carrying that here on Newsmax throughout the day. Great to see you again. Scott Fitzgerald of Wisconsin, thank you.
Thank you.